From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's Gardening Inside Out, a podcast with highlights from our Saturday morning live show, answering all your gardening questions, giving you plant advice for any space in your life. Let's start the show.
Hey, everybody. Caroline Gant.
Hey, everybody. Austin Lowen.
Happy April. It's Tyler Blankenship.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Austin.
It is April. Oh, I love April. My birthday's soon, y'all. What y'all getting me?
It's a surprise.
Yeah.
Better be good.
Mm-hmm.
No, it will.
All right. Cool. What's going on out there? What's going on around town? What? Y'all got nothing?
No.
What's going on around town? I mean, a lot is blooming.
Mm-hmm.
Leafing out.
The redbuds still look good.
They do.
I feel like this has been the best year for redbuds. Or maybe I'm just noticing them more, but they're showing off so much.
Oh, y'all. I took a road trip out east on Monday, and it was like redbuds lining the whole interstate.
Mm-hmm. That's how it is on my drive home. They're all in the woods, popping off.
You don't realize how many redbud trees there are here until they're in bloom.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, good Lord, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like everywhere. And it has been a good year for them. We just happened the dogwoods.
Oh, yeah. My pink one is almost full show. It's a little bit later because it's in some shade.
Mm-hmm. It's cool you have a pink one. You don't see pink ones near as much as the white ones.
And mine is like a hot pink. It's a very vibrant pink.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love a pretty little
Nothing
dogwood
soft
tree.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of color, what are the like orangey red things leafing out right now? Are those maples?
Could be maple.
It's a beautiful backdrop against the redbud. That's like a punchy pink magenta. And then these are just like red and yellow and orange. And
Mm-hmm. It could be maple.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what mine look like right now, my maples.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
When
love
the
it.
sun's behind them, they just glow, this like red-orange color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
New growth on a maple is so good, especially Japanese maples. Like around here, y'all, just so you know, our fall color with maples is not always just like stunning. Every year is different. Some years it's good for the Japanese maple, some years it's not. But what you can always count on that is good is the new growth from Japanese maple that comes out in the spring. It's just so good. It's just vibrant, sometimes red, sometimes yellows. Like, the spring is almost better than the fall, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that, definitely. My little Katsura Japanese maple, which was protected with my cars being on either side. Got a little bit of damage, but not much, but it is stunning right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that one, nothing in the fall. It usually just turns brown.
Yeah, I know. It's very annoying in the fall to grow a Japanese maple and it not give you fall color. Like, that's annoying.
Yeah. But the color right now, like I said, I mean, it's yellow leaves with a little red edging around. It's so pretty.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we should probably let people know, if they are just tuning in to this podcast, where we are talking about location wise.
We ain't bashful. We're from Nashville.
That's right.
Said it.
You did say it, and you nailed it.
Okay.
We are Nashville. That's right.
Yep. One of the most annoying places to live with the spring temperature things that happen. It's been beautiful. This last weekend was just stunning. 80 degrees, sunny, fantastic. This week, it's only like 52 today as the high.
Yep.
And then we're going to see some frosty conditions, it looks like Friday night.
I know. I put some houseplants outside on Monday
Bring them back in.
just to water them and give them a little bit of sunlight. But yeah, I'm going to have to turn around and bring them back in.
I know. And the annual boxwood flush is amongst us right now.
Yes.
With the most tiny, green, perfect little leaves. God, are we going to have to cover those up Friday night, maybe?
I hope
Probably.
Probably.
I mean, my phone said like 34 was the last I checked. Like, that's stupid cold.
I've been fielding a lot of concerns about people showing, are my boxwoods dead? And basically the first round of new growth that were on them got whacked, or it was latent cold damage from mid-January showing. And I'm like, no, it's not dead. It looks rough, and you're going to have to cut it out. And it's unfortunate. You know, I feel like people who live north of here have it a little bit better, because even though they do warm up, they probably don't warm up as much as, or as bad as we do, across that threshold that makes plants want to grow.
Well, yeah, that's what Austin's saying is we have ups and downs. So everything wakes up, it starts flushing, and then it gets cold again.
Yeah.
It's not a gradual warm up. It's
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. No, I was thinking like when you said up north, like let's think about those hydrangeas that grow up in like, where's that area? It's like around Maine, right? Like the Cape Cod or something area. Don't we think of that area as like hydrangea central, you know?
Yeah.
New England.
In like at the New England area. Like they're way colder than us, consistently, way. But they still grow the most beautiful hydrangeas up there. And that's because, like what we just talked about, what Caroline just said is that they don't warm up all that early and then get a late frost. It's like they wait until it's time to actually get warm, and then they get warm. So like hydrangeas even do better up there than they potentially do down here.
Yeah.
So it's just a funny phenomenon.
Yeah, my quick fire got some frost damage. But it's okay. It'll be fine. It'll leaf out and it'll be great. But what's going on in y'all's garden beds? Been taking walks, looking at stuff?
Yeah, I've got very, very sad news.
Oh, no.
And everybody needs to be aware of this because it's happening, and it almost seems to be happening more and more every year. I took my tree walk around the yard as I do, and I went to my final tree in the yard that I usually stop by, and it's my chocolate mimosa tree. I know y'all hear mimosa tree and like, why are you planting a mimosa? But look,
I love mimosas.
It's ornamental.
It's an ornamental chocolate mimosa, so it's got this really dark foliage with the pink blooms. Look, I love it. I just love my tree, okay? What did I notice?
What did you notice?
Ambrosia beetle.
Oh,
Y'all, Ambrosia beetle is a killer of plants.
yeah.
An absolute killer. Invasive, non-native insects. Horrible, horrible. How you can see this, and I want y'all to know this. This is serious. Like, this is important. This time of year is whenever the ambrosia beetles are really starting their flight. So they're starting to fly around and look for those trees. For the most part, trees that are weakened a little bit or easy, like they have their host trees too. They're not all that picky. There's a lot of different hosts that they like. They come in, they bore holes into the stem, and how you can notice this is there's this sawdust appearance stuff that comes out of the holes of the tree, and it looks like, they call it in the field like toothpicks. They look kind of like little toothpicks coming out of the tree in all different spots, typically only about 6 to 8 inches from the ground up on the stem. That's how you can notice if you've got it. If you've got it, I'm sorry, your tree will die.
Oh,
That is just how it happens. It happens every year. What happens is the tree has enough energy to leaf out, and it leaves out pretty, like nothing wrong. You wouldn't even notice anything weird. Give it about 2 weeks and it crashes immediately. Within a day or two, crashes. And it's really annoying. And a little fun fact is, like, we talk about how we could maybe prevent this or like whatever. You can do some prevention, but the problem is that like people think, well, I can just use systemics. I can get the chemicals inside the vascular system of the plant, and whenever they feast, they'll die. Well, that's the problem with ambrosia beetle. They just bore into the tree, and they present a fungi that they farm inside of the plant for the next generation to feast on. Well, the problem is this fungus is a tree killer. It stops flow of water, it stops flow of nutrients to the rest of the plant, and that's actually how the plant dies, not from the beetles actually feeding on the plant. So you can't use a systemic. It's not effective. It does not work. And fungicides don't work either on this particular fungus. It's awful.
that's bad. So is there anything you can do to prevent it?
Yeah, so you can prevent early. Like I said, this is the time when they're flying. So, within the first couple of weeks of them starting their flight, if you spray your tree with products like, say, permethrin or bifenthrin, which are synthetic pyrethrins, you can coat the stem with that, and this has seemed to be effective at keeping them away from those trees. Mm-hmm. So,
are these specifically younger trees, like under a certain caliper size? You said stress has something to do with it too?
yes. So typically they're going after trees that are stressed. So they can take big trees as well, but they're more as they age and like older ones out in the woods. But no, they can take. I've literally seen them bore into pencil-sized saplings, but it seems like their most preferred is like that 1 inch to 2 inch caliper tree. That's kind of where they want to be. So, and that's exactly my mimosa. It's about probably right at a 2 inch caliper, maybe even a little
pretty
more.
Big. I mean,
It's big.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still pretty large. The mimosa grows like a weed, like
Well, you've
so
had
fast.
that for how many years? Like three?
3 years now, yeah. And it started small, but it is not small now. And I wonder, mimosa is a plant that they are a host with, like that's a host plant for ambrosia beetle, but mine suffered a massive limb break last year, like massive. We had a huge windstorm, and mimosa has kind of weak, fragile wood. Massive break, and I had to just prune it off. So it's had this huge chunk missing out of it. And I wonder if that was the I don't know how a tree, signals stress or whatever, how a bug knows that or whatnot. Or maybe it just stumbled upon it and was like, I'm just going to bore into this one. But
Nature.
It did. And I'm sad.
I'm so sorry. I remember when you bought that tree. You were so excited And you were like, how am I going to get this home? And I said, put it in the back of your truck through that window. And that was the moment that you realized that you had a window in the cab of your truck in the back that would open. What a moment.
It was a moment.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's part of it.
It is. And what you're going to hear in a little bit is Josh lost a very important tree to him as well this year. So it's going around. I have some stuff that hasn't woken up yet. Hopefully it all does. My Macawa has not leafed out, but it doesn't look dead. It's got buds, so I think it'll be okay.
My autumn moon that I girdled last year with my weed eater. Pour one out, y'all. It's gone.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No.
But I do have a nice looking beehoo that's leafing out.
My beehoo died.
Oh,
It died last year.
No.
Well, it died back to the graft. Like it's still alive at the base, but nothing's pushing out, so I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
And good news though, my crossvine has shown new signs of growth from the very tips.
Nice.
Crossvine's not too much. I mean, it's like starting to wake up.
Yeah, starting to wake up. Last week we talked about Ben Trest, landscape specialist here at Bates Nursery. We said, how he was talking about how his crossvine was in full bloom, and we didn't believe him. Y'all, it is in full bloom. He showed me a picture of it, and it is gorgeous. I will get that photo up on our page so you guys can see it.
Is it up against his house?
It's up against his house. It's on a brick wall, so it's warm, which is why it's already blooming. Mine is not. I've got buds all over the place, but they're not doing anything yet. But I'm
wishful thinking.
Ready for it.
No kidding.
Yeah. I know we talk a lot of, today specifically, we've talked a lot about death, but hey, y'all, we actually do know how to grow things. Sometimes things happen out of our control. So, only a few things, but most of all my stuff, is really waking up and looking good and just making me happy at the same time. So, it's give and take with plants.
It
You
is.
know what's nuts? My blueberry bushes have been in bloom for like a week or two already. Like, how long does it take? there's like cold weather coming and I'm scared. I'm going to have to cover them up again.
You shouldn't have to cover
They'll be
blueberry.
okay.
They're
Blueberries-
usually,
Yeah, they can handle.
Their
handle
blooms
the
are
cold.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with 34, I wouldn't worry so much about that. If we were talking 19 or something, probably.
Okay.
No,
But
there's
I
a
also,
lot.
frantically, that one night we got into the 20s a little bit, I wrapped a bed sheet around like 4 or 5 main branches of my plum tree,
I remember.
and I saw little baby green plums.
Oh, good
It set
job.
some fruit, y'all.
Yeah.
Set some fruit.
The
Well,
work paid
everything
off.
is waking up. I planted dill a couple weeks ago. It's up. It looks great. But let's go ahead and get into the broadcast from Saturday, March 30th, the last Saturday in March, because we are now in April. So you will hear Josh Carey and David Bates as the other voices, as well as the three of us.
Have fun.
Let's dive into questions unless anyone
Okay.
else has anything.
Let's go.
All right, so our first question might solve a little bit of conflict that we've had on the show. So
Conflict on this show?
I know, imagine that. That is wild. Can I pair my clematis with another flowering vine looking to have longer bloom time?
Well,
You know where I'm going with that.
yeah. I don't see why not. I mean, the Carolina jessamine right now is blooming like pretty much now, and then clematis will be after that. And then, hey,
Crossvine?
pair it with crossvine that Caroline would love. Put them all together.
I feel like that would be stunning.
Yeah, no, the only issue I have with that is that the clematis has an unfair advantage as far as its ability to grow and grow rapidly. The crossvine is a much slower grower. I'm afraid it might get choked out by the more aggressive growing vine. Austin, what do you think about that?
I don't know that they would get choked out or not. I think they would kind of live together. I think one would, one
Held down to submission.
one would probably do better than the other, depending on which one does it. I mean, but getting them all on the same trellis, make sure you spread them out at least a little bit, give them room to grow up or whatever on a maybe a wide trellis. But hey, if you want to do it, why not? Put them close together, let them fight it out. See what happens.
I might try it. I kind of
You know
want to
what?
see. I've got a clematis planted right now, which is doing great. It's about to bloom. Well, it's got buds, but it'll be a minute before it blooms. But I could plant a crossvine right beside it and let them intertwine and see what happens.
my little suggestion that I made to Monrovia some years ago about utilizing the best of both worlds of Carolina jasmine and swamp jasmine, which are first cousins. They look almost identical foliage-wise. They just flower at different times. And I suggested they plant those together and call them double shot.
Double shot,
And
okay.
they do that. They have been doing it for a lot of years. I have received zero royalties.
Compensation?
No.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what's up.
I didn't even get a footnote on the website, but that's okay.
That's okay.
I'm not bitter about it.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at
Obviously,
all.
I've gotten over it.
It is a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about blueberry bushes for a moment.
Okay.
Somebody has a blueberry bush that has buds but isn't flowering yet. They're asking, should I do something to help it along? I mean, that's exactly where mine is right now.
Yeah, no, you're in the same boat as everybody. They haven't
Patience.
quite. Yeah, patience is key with this. With all plants, really, patience is key. They will open. They're in bud form right now. They haven't opened yet, so
Yeah.
they will.
And they're
Just
going
wait
to be
it out.
so nice when they open. I think blueberry bushes are very
cute.
pretty. They're
Yes.
not only edible and great to eat, but also really cute. And
My blueberries full bloom right now.
So are
Nice,
mine.
Tyler.
Sunshine
Look at
blue
you.
and climax.
Tyler Cam is so close today.
peas.
Sorry, and I
I'm
love
sorry.
it.
Let me back
He
up.
is ready for his
Close-ups,
Pink
CBD.
lemonade blueberries have not even stirred at all.
Really, my pink lemonade are all budded up.
Yeah.
Well, I'll trade with you because I want those sooner.
Yeah. Well, that's
you
the thing
can't
with,
have it.
with blueberries. They bloom at different times, like depending on the cultivar, So when you are out here and you're picking blueberries, we all should know at this point anyway that you need 2 different cultivars of blueberry for them to produce adequate fruit for you. So if you're out there shopping for blueberries, find a couple that are in bloom at the same time, or at least their buds are in the same stage. That way they'll open up at the same time, and then pollen can transfer.
That is what we call a clue.
There it is. You know what happened to mine that was next to my pink lemonade?
It froze.
I got mowed down
God.
a couple weeks ago by my lawn guy.
That
Took
guy,
it
he
right
needs
out.
a talking to.
No, I needed talking to. I got to be better at marking stuff. I have plants everywhere, and it wasn't very big, but he took out my climax blueberry.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
I mean, there's still a stem about an inch high, but I don't know if.
It'll probably come out,
Right.
but I think it's beyond the climax point.
I think it definitely is. Far past that. We've got one of Austin's favorite plants to talk
Uh-oh.
about now, which I planted last year. I planted 4 Sun King Aurelia in a woodland area last year. It's a new plant to me. Should I be seeing some signs of life at this point?
No, not
Mine
at
is
all.
peaking.
Yours is?
Yes.
Mine's not showing any
It was
signs
peaking
yet.
before the freeze we got. What was it, last week or so that we had to cover for? It was not huge, but it was about this big. I had to really look for it, and it whacked it back to the ground. But
Yeah.
now it's already back up.
See, mine's in like a very cold spot of my yard. It's like during the wintertime, it's kind of that shady, real shady,
Low.
cold spot. Yeah, it's like gets a lot of wind. So mine hasn't started waking up yet. And they come back from the ground, y'all. So, if you have old stems that are still up, you can go ahead and take those, cut them back. And then you'll start seeing, like Caroline said, you'll start seeing these little buds form at the very base of the ground. And they're usually red. And then they'll start to poke up foliage. But yeah, mine have not started yet. Caroline's have just started. Yours are probably on its way. That's an excellent, excellent plant. I'm sure it's coming back for you. Good job planting that one. Oh, it's so good.
I can't wait until mine are huge. I think you put up a picture of yours last year of your little penny in front of it. It's a giant
They're
shrub.
so big. It's amazing. From the ground, how big they get in one season is incredible. Good plant to grow.
Good plant to grow. Y'all, we talked about azaleas a little bit, but we got a question about one. Azalea looking yellow and losing leaves. Love it or leave it?
Do you love it? Or do you want to leave it?
Does it give you joy?
Yes, does it? At the moment, it doesn't seem like it does. Now, all azaleas do senesce a little bit, so yellow and drop leaves from the interior, typically this time of year. I mean, it's time to shed a little bit. That's what they do. Now, we want to make sure that, I don't know if buds are forming. It should be blooming here soon. Probably not quite, but it's probably budded up and ready to bloom. Hopefully, new leaves come out clean and green. If they don't, let's get them some fertilizer, maybe some hollytone to get some acidity back in that soil, because as we know, azaleas are acid-loving plants. We can do that to help it along a little bit, but hopefully it's just that natural shed that azaleas do.
Yeah, and I think it would be appropriate for most azaleas, particularly in our area, to be further described as semi-broadleaf. And of course, you alluded to that. But they frequently drop a significant amount of foliage just prior to blooming, and that's true with a great many different plants. Magnolia are the one
Yes.
that you see around the
Absolutely.
landscape. That they're done with all this interior and lower down foliage. They're ready to push out new. they got to get rid of that so they can push all that energy towards opening flowers and forcing new growth.
Lots of pines do the same thing.
Pines do the same thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Every year the
Otherwise-
pines start to shed, and people ask, "Are they dying?" They look like they're dying, but no, they're just shedding.
Where do you get pine needles from?
Exactly.
Pine.
They're not dead pine trees; they're just shedding.
Just
Hey,
shedding.
hey, Miriam wants to know how much sun machos can take.
Hey, Miriam.
Good morning,
Hey, it was good
Miriam.
to see Miriam night before last. She and Bob. It was happened to run into them, so always great to see you, dear friend.
Yes.
Bob.
We got to have Miriam back on the show soon.
We do.
We need another lady in this room.
Miriam, come out. We got macho ferns that look awesome. Come out and see
We
us
do,
today. Go
and
on
they
get you
can
some.
handle some sun.
They can. Not too
can.
much.
Not a ton. Kimberly Queen, I would say, can handle the most.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Macho, and then Boston.
And it helps a lot if you can get them introduced to whatever sun you're going to give them earlier. That way they have a better chance of adjustment. Yeah, but they cannot adjust to full afternoon sun. That's just too much. But,
Right.
but they're you'll know right away if you've overdone it because, well, they're going to scorch.
Yeah.
They're going to look black, and then all you can do at that point is remove the fronds that look bad and continue to clean on them. They will adjust, but yeah, don't overdo it.
I think that's an excellent point, though, is like to get them started and adjusted like pretty much now. Like we've got them in, and you can leave them. You typically leave machos in pots. We typically do that. So next Thursday night or whatever it was, if we're seeing that 34, just run them in the house for the night, you know.
Right.
But then keeping them out during the day when we had these good days, you know, of sunlight, but not like intense summer heat sunlight. You know what I mean? So like. Great point. Getting them out and getting them started to be adjusted, I think, is a really good point.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, and maybe just throwing a sheet over them probably enough. You know,
Yeah.
you don't. You know, we're not talking about freezing conditions, except if you're in an outlying area like Bates Nursery is, where we have to do all of the extra things to protect the plants we've got. And we got a couple.
And
so
just because you've got a little bit of shade right now where you want to put them, notice where the sun moves across the sky because it's going to be different in July.
Definitely. Yeah, that sun changes a lot. Way up higher in the sky, shines on stuff a lot more than it does this time of year. So getting it out and acclimated is a good way to go. Miriam, come out and see us today. I
Yes,
miss
please
you.
come out and see us and get you some Macho ferns. Those are my favorite kind of like annual ferns. They're so pretty.
They are pretty.
So macho.
KS
so
Mas
big.
Macho.
Let's talk roses. Is it too late to trim my roses back?
No, it's not too late. I mean, I actually trimmed mine literally like 4 days ago because they got big and long and leggy early in the season, and I didn't want that growth habit. I really wanted them tighter, so I went ahead and cut mine back, even though they had leaves. You know, here at the nursery, we cut back roses throughout the whole season. Like
Yes.
if they start to get too big, leggy, say the climbers start to get out of bounds, and then when you know we haven't sold them and they're still sitting here, we'll take them back. So roses are really, you can really do it a lot of times of the year, but go ahead and get it done. Go ahead and do it.
And particularly with shrub roses. If
Oh,
you've got
yeah.
those. You know why, Josh?
They like
They're shrubs.
They're shrubs.
You can trim them a lot.
Yes.
That's the way that works.
they like a haircut.
They really do.
They really do.
Keeps them tight and
The
full.
shrubs
That's where
do.
you. That's how you want those blooms. It's really nice and tight atop the shrub.
And they're
I
growing
didn't-
machines as well. So.
Yeah. I didn't cut my knockout when I first planted it for years before I knew more about shrubs and outdoor. And it got giant. And I remember the first time I cut it, that season, I was like, wow, so much better, so many more blooms. And it just wasn't leggy and all out of control and,
And drift
grabbing you.
roses may be a better choice for
Yes.
a lot of people because they just don't get so large.
Semi-pro tip: do not use the flexible hose types. That's flexible type hoses around knockout roses. Don't do it.
It'll pop 'em.
It'll. Don't even run it near it. I mean, you get it within 3 feet, it'll pop a hole.
If it sees it, it'll spring a hole.
That's what they live for, right?
Popping holes. Okay, is it too soon to start planting herbs such as sage, oregano, and thyme?
Okay, those three specifically, no, it is not too early. Those three are perennial herbs around here. I have had creeping thyme up all winter long, never went dormant. Parsley is another one that rarely goes dormant. It'll definitely look bad over the wintertime and start to get some nasty leaves, but then they push back really, really quickly. A lot of herbs are perennial around here, so
Cilantro?
That's
It
an
likes
early
it a
one.
little, yeah.
You need to get it in early so it doesn't bolt so quick in the summer.
Right.
But we've got all those herbs actually right now. So come on out and get some. I got sage popping up. It's salvia, sage, whatever. And I've got the ornamental type, but it's already coming up. It's wanting to even try to throw buds to bloom. So anyway,
That's
go
quick.
get your herbs and then get something else to go with it.
Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Earth Mix, featuring Garden Premium Topsoil Blend. This essential mix includes Tennessee subsoil, supernatural organic compost, humic acid, and mycorrhizal fungi to create a truly living soil. Garden topsoil is perfect for establishing raised, edible, and ornamental garden beds, as well as for planting trees, shrubs, and other landscape plants. Bulk and super stack options available. Visit earthmix.net to discover their entire line of soils and amendments and helpful blog posts. Success begins at the ground level when you use EarthMix garden products. And now we're going to check out What's in Bloom with Austin.
Oh, I'm first today?
Yes.
You're first today.
Well, okay, here we go, y'all. Creeping phlox, still going. Tyler, throw up that picture right now.
Creeping Flock.
Uh-huh.
Are
This
you
is for
talking
Renee.
about Renee's?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Miss Renee Bates, look at this. Oh, people, yes, people call it thrift. Look at that.
That's stunning.
That's creeping phlox, and that's what it does, y'all. Every single year without a problem.
And
Just grows.
That's
Carpet.
Mine and
Blooming
Renee's
carpet.
Mine and Renee's buddy, Bo. That's hers.
All right, Bo, you're doing good. I love that creeping phlox. Everybody does. Hey, Candy Tufts goes along with it. It's that white blooming little evergreen. You see, hey. I don't know if that's Candy
That-
Tufts or
That's
creeping
more
phlox.
creeping. That
looks
That's
like-
more creeping phlox.
This is
white
Renee
phlox.
sent, quite a bit of creeping phlox
Hey,
from
it's-
their neighborhood.
It is awesome, though. Look at all that. It's so good, y'all. You got to grow it. It's cheap still. Put it in. It spreads. Great plant.
And it thrives on neglect.
It really does.
It
And then,
does.
hey, a little cousin of creeping phlox is the woodland phlox. We brought some in the studio today. Those little purple flowers you see in the woods right now that are just blooming, and you're like, what is that? I don't even know.
Call this.
But they're kind of everywhere. It's the woodland phlox. It's so good. It's a native around here. Looks great. Hey, we brought in a feature plant, our columbine today, that's spinning around on our lazy Susan. It's so good.
caught me
Columbine is
off guard.
One
Hold
of the
on.
prettiest blooms on the planet.
Scattering him around.
It is just so different.
Boom.
Look at that.
Wow.
You
on
never
the
seen
turntable.
the bloom like that. It's so good. Look at that. Oh, columbine. I just love it. Everybody does. Hey, those Bridal Spirea, the quince, the forsythia, still going, almost on its way out, but still going. Pears, Josh, Bradford Bear.
Pears.
Okay, moving on. Cherry trees, still going, but almost done. They looked great this year. But you know, the real showstoppers this year were those red buds and really the
Yes.
crab apples.
Crab apples.
Talked about it
Crab
last week, but crab apples have been money this year.
I don't think I've ever seen crab apples be as outstanding as they have been this year.
They're so good. Our tree lot has them. We brought some up for display. People can't even take their eyes off of them. They're just like, okay, I didn't even know I needed a
I
crab
saw
apple
somebody
tree.
trip over their own shoelace the other day because they were looking
Yeah.
at the crab apple.
It's not a joke. Like, you cannot ignore them, okay? Hey, moving on to dogwoods. They just opened, like literally yesterday. They still have that kind of creamy yellow look to them right now. They're about to go that pure white, but they have opened. Next week, we will, I'm sure, be talking about dogwood because they are full show. And then, hey, shout out to our general manager, Adam Chapman, of like 24 years here at Bates. What an awesome guy, and what he loves to grow more than anything is serviceberry trees. Your serviceberries are in bloom, y'all. They certainly are. Tyler, we got a pic we can throw up.
I'm
Go on
getting
and get it.
I'm getting it.
For Mr. Chapman, the
And
GM.
serving it.
Yes, that's
Oh.
his. That's actually his at his house. He grows them every year, and he harvests them before the birds do. He is a diligent man. He does what he has to do when he knows he has to do it, because he knows those birds are coming in for those serviceberry.
And I can't wait for those muffins.
I know.
Or the
think
coffee cake.
Trees,
I
yes.
think he needs to, after harvesting this year, consider cutting them back because, you know,
a little tall. As tall as he is,
he's a tall guy,
Yeah.
but
He is.
those are getting beyond the reach.
And we can get him a cherry picker. It'll be fine.
Yep. Good job, Adam. Thanks for that pick. Service berries blooming. Hey, pansies are still going. I was looking at mine last night. My pansies are so juiced and beautiful right now. They are fantastic. And then the shout out, my final one of the day is your lilacs are blooming this year, y'all. Hey, lucky we're about as far south, really, as lilacs want to grow. They love it up north. They love the cold weather. They need a certain amount of chill hours, cold hours over the winter to produce those blooms. They had it this year, and your lilacs are stunning this year. Go outside and smell yours. They're fantastic.
Yep, mine's open.
That's what's in bloom.
Perfect.
Very
That was
good.
Way to
great.
go, Austin.
Hey,
Just
here we
one
go.
after the other.
Just
Hey, guys.
nailing it. What?
Hey guys,
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks,
Well
Tyler.
We're proud of
deserved.
you.
Yes, thank
Well
you.
deserved.
is Colin day drinking?
Okay.
That would be morning drinking right
Morning
there.
drinking?
Yeah.
He says he's having a warm London fog with some lavender-infused simple syrup. That phenomenal lever that y'all recommend is phenomenal.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Colin, that
London
sounds like a
fog?
great
London
morning.
fog is
It's like a black tea.
is
Yeah.
a Earl Grey
Yes.
tea latte.
Yeah.
Man, y'all are
okay.
Well, you're
fancy.
drinking
Colin,
Earl
bring
Grey,
us
aren't
some
you?
next week.
Every week?
Yes.
Oh,
We've got
it's-
some live questions in, so let's go ahead and
Yes.
get to those. Can I put creeping phlox or candy tuff at the base of my downspouts to keep the mulch from washing out?
Oh, no.
That sounds a little tricky.
Might
That
be
doesn't
too
sound
much
good.
water
Yeah.
there.
They don't want wet, really, especially a constant wet. Not
You know
that
what
it would
could
be
probably
constant
take
wet.
that? Creeping Jenny.
That's not neglect. That's abuse.
No, that's a good point. Caroline just said, like, Creeping Jenny would probably take that better, and that's a good perennial around here. It's got this, golden foliage that can handle wet feet a lot better. Check that one out.
Minor can even
Vinca minor
handle.
can do it as well. So
I'll
there's
just-
other options. I'm sorry, but the Creeping Phlox probably ain't going to work. It kind of likes it high and dry.
I'll just jump in here.
Jump
real
in, Tyler, with the-
and say that I planted Father Gila, a smaller variety. I think that's Blue
Shadow.
Mist. Which one's the smaller one? Blue Mist or Blue Shadow?
Blue Shadow is the one.
Blue Shadow. I planted a Blue Shadow next to the drain on my HVAC because it likes it a little bit moist, and it's doing really great. And then I planted Golden Alexander next to it, which is a perennial, kind of a sun perennial, right underneath the drain of my HVAC, and it has just come back. It did not look good last year because of the water, but it came back.
Yeah, Itea is another very
yeah.
water tolerant shrub. So there's the good thing about coming out to see us is that
You got it.
we try to have
And those are
gardening
native.
plants that kind of cover every situation. So just because you like something, it doesn't mean you can't use it, but you might not be able to use it in the exact spot you're thinking about. So that's where if you come with some photographs and have a few questions, we can help you.
Do you
Yes,
make
we
sure that on those ITs that they come with all the parts?
Oh, they come with all the parts.
and,
I mean,
the
all the
assembly
bolts,
sheet.
all
I
the
think you're
screws.
confusing that with IKEA. Oh,
It happens, Josh.
Maybe.
It's okay. Hey, we got some more live questions in. Hi, should I be seeing any activity from in-ground figs yet? I have brown turkey and black mission in Middle Tennessee. Mine
What's
are
yours
doing
doing, David?
nothing.
mine looks like dead sticks, and
That's a good
typically-
thing.
And
So
it
do
will
mine.
probably look that way until I'm going to say perhaps as late as mid-May. So don't do anything. I mean, if you just got to do something, you could start cutting it back. I promise you, it's got dead wood. I want to guess this year it's going to be dead down to about 8 inches.
At
Because
least.
that's the depth of the snow that pretty much all of us had back during the 17th of January when we had below zero temperature. So I've got a big one at my house, and so there will be no early fig crop this year.
No.
But there will be a very bountiful late crop.
My brown
Nice.
turkey dies back to the ground every single year.
Yeah, now if you plant them out in the yard, you
Yes.
can pretty much be assured
Yes,
of that.
that's
Now
what's
mine
gonna-
is kind of near the portico share of the house where it gets a little
Gesundheit.
insulative protection, but it's not enough when we have these below zero winters, and we've had those the last 2 years. Not dead, but it's going to be late coming out.
Yeah, mine's always from the ground.
Yep.
All right.
If you got a
is-
courtyard, put a fig in it.
Yeah.
Is there a flowering vine that will do well in heavy shade?
Yeah, there are. I mean, we sell Boston ivy running up a trellis. That does totally fine in plenty
Is
of
that
shade.
flowering though?
It does flower, but you don't notice. You're right. I'm
I know.
stupid.
You're not stupid. You just didn't hear that full question.
I've actually seen clematis in pretty heavy shade. My buddy Shane Burton, who used to work here, great horticulturalist, he had clematis in one of them in full shade, one of them in full sun. I observed both of them in flower at the same time. So
Wow.
clematis actually can handle some shade. Evergreen clematis can handle some shade.
By the way, shout out to Shane again. He's the general manager over at JVI Secret Gardens, and they're a seller of Earth Mix garden products. So we're
Nice.
always glad to give them a shout out. Encourage you to go by and visit them. They're great folks.
If you need
Yeah.
aquatic plants, boom, they
Yes.
are
Yes.
excellent for that.
Yeah, Shane's a good guy to talk to too. Go out and see him. But
Go
yeah,
out and say
try
hi.
some. I mean, but honestly, let's think about it. Like most vines, like they have to climb something to reach for the sun. Like that's the whole point of them to climb. So really, most of them can handle some shade. Okay, and a lot of them flower. So climbing hydrangea comes to mind. It's not like a really predictable flower every year, but it'll flower some years, and it handles shade well.
And when it does flower, it flowers profusely.
Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Spring is at our doorstep, and if your plans involve improving your landscape or starting a garden, then Bates Nursery is the essential place for what you need. They offer the largest selection of plants in the Southeast, from unique flowers and trees to tropicals, roses, houseplants, and native plants. Bates Nursery's 92 years of serving Nashville gives them unparalleled experience in stocking the plants that perform best for your home. Their friendly staff of horticulture experts are ready to assist you with your gardening needs. Located minutes from downtown Nashville in beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee, just off Briley Parkway at exit 19. Shop inventory online before you visit at batesnursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
Now, the columbines, are they perennial?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what are the light requirements on them?
They like shade.
Okay.
So mine get a little bit of direct sunlight in the morning, but mine are loving being in the shade. They can tolerate
They
some
can tolerate
sun,
some,
but
yeah.
I wouldn't put them in any hot afternoon sun.
They're very woodlandy.
They'll cook.
They will cook
All right.
very
want that.
quickly. Let's get back to questions, y'all. All right, we're going to talk about a teddy bear magnolia. It is being attacked with a fungal issue, they say. It has brown leaves that are dropping like crazy. Any ideas?
Okay, this presents like a fungus and it looks like a fungus, but I bet it's not. Magnolias look like they're spotty and yuck, but it was from the cold weather this year that dipped down to zero. Their cold damage really resembles fungal issues, and they will drop off, and it is happening. And I've noticed this, especially with teddy bear. It's probably the least hardy of the southern magnolias that we sell here. Can it live here just fine? Yes. But it is going to see some issues, especially when we dip down to those zeros and negatives. So that's what it's showing. I've seen this already. At least 3 or 4 different people have shown me pictures of theirs, and it's presenting the same way.
Yeah, and it will do dropouts right in the foliage. It does. I can understand completely why it appears that it is some kind of a fungal thing, but it's just the way that the necrosis or the dieback occurs. It doesn't all. The whole leaf doesn't necessarily die. It's just spots in it, and then the leaf dies or drops off. So, yeah, it's just part of the magnolia thing you got to endure.
Wow.
Yeah,
They'll
we have
be
to-
back out.
They will be back out. Just got to go through that ugly phase for a minute, but it'll reshoot. I guarantee it will.
It'll be okay.
I've got one in the side yard over here next door to the garden center that has been there for many years, and it's kind of this toasty brown look.
Yeah.
But it's completely okay. It's as soon as it flushes, which is going to be rather quickly, it will transform completely. It's what you get with magnolias, particularly when we have some harsh winter weather, and we've had that the last couple of winters.
Yes, we have. Speaking of harsh winter weather, this might be the reason for our next question. Looks like my potted roses are not coming back this spring. Any idea why?
Potted.
Someone in this
Join
room is
the
going
club.
through the same
really?
thing.
Annoying. I've got a potted rose that was beautiful all last year. It's dead. Every single cane is black and dead, y'all. Look, it's above the ground. It's less hardy when they're above the ground. And it's just one of those annoyances in gardening. It happens, but the weather happened, you know?
And one of the things that people need to be mindful of when you're considering planting something in a container that's going to stay out year-round above ground is that you effectively lose 2 hardiness zones.
Well, so like would be a 9A here in Middle Tennessee?
Rose wouldn't be that, but if it is a zone 6, it becomes a zone 8 plant, effectively. So if you're going to put that in a container, try to select something that's at least like we're zone 7 typically, something that is at least a zone 5 or 4.
Right.
And that will give you a much better chance. I had someone write in about an evergreen clematis yesterday, and that's a zone 7 straight up. We had zone 6 winter. It's prognosis is not good, and it's a common problem. So try to give yourself a cushion of at least 2 hardiness zones, and that's assuming you don't have anything that's extreme weather. One more would be good. So in the Middle Tennessee area, I would try to go with zone 4 hardy plants.
Well, don't they up above the Mason-Dixon line? The rosarians often bury their rose bushes and they put cones over the top of them. All kinds of different practices in the colder climes.
And the cones are not normally necessary in this part of the world, but when you have the root system above the ground, if you notice, we move plants inside in the winter, and the reason for that is to give the roots protection. It's not really for the top so much.
Well, the hybrid teas are actually grafted, right?
That was the point I was going to make. Is it really depends on what rose you're growing.
Exactly.
Like Caroline grows a rose called Carefree Wonder, and it's a very
It's amazing.
easy
Miriam
rose.
grows that rose too. Shout out Miriam. Love you.
And that one is a non-grafted rose. So what you get down below is exactly what you're going to get on top. So if you've got a non-grafted rose, then wait it out for your rose. You'll probably see new sprouts come up from the ground, and it'll be true to type. Now, if it is a grafted rose, then it will not be true to type, and it will be a different rose altogether, which happened to me last year, and I've got 4 different roses that are up, and the ones I told you I cut back earlier, they're great, but they're going to come back as this like kind of dusky red flower. It's
some
flower.
Some people like
It's more like
those
a
when
tea
they
rose type of thing.
Hey, they live. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Y'all all go get Carefree Wonder. That rose is nonstop.
It's a good rose.
We got a nice compliment in on our Bates Facebook page. They say, I live in Cedar Grove, West Tennessee, and my husband and I go on what we call nursery crawls. And we come out at least once a month or even more in the off season and have for years. You guys are by far the best for stock selection and knowledge.
Well, very kind
They
words.
went on a little bit longer, but thank you so much for that compliment.
Yeah, we're all a little
you.
bit biased, but here is the, as a customer of Bates, I will tell you there are a lot of very, very good nurseries in Middle Tennessee,
We're kind of known for that.
but Bates is the best.
One woman-
no kidding,
One-
guys.
yeah.
It's worth the drive from anywhere.
We had a guest yesterday literally walking up. She needed to go to the bathroom. She was like, I'm just looking at plants, but I need to go find the bathroom. She was like, this is the best nursery I've ever seen. She like literally said it like that, like very excited. She had never been here before. And I'm like, yeah, baby.
Well, made her have to go.
Yeah,
She was
she
looking
got
at plants
so
too long.
excited.
I call that the Bates effect.
Yeah.
There's just something in the air. In the
I do have to say, I feel like part of what makes this nursery, Bates Nursery, so great is that everyone who works here is so passionate about plants and just loves being here. And you can really tell when you walk in and you start asking us questions, like we want to stand there and talk to you about problems you're having or designs or just any questions. We can talk about them all day.
And you're not going to see things like I saw this morning. I had to go to the restroom too. I don't know. It must be true.
It just
But
happens.
The Bates effect.
Walking towards the garden center, there are a couple of patio blood good acers attached to a trellis that are amazing out
like
there right up front.
Yeah, they're like maple walls.
I mean, it is. I've never seen anything like that.
In the right spot, those can be stunning.
Okay, but
Maple
they're going to
walls.
get big, though, aren't they? A bloodgood is fairly
Well,
large.
yeah, but
acer.
they don't grow that fast. I mean,
Okay.
if you've got a big wall, it's one of those things that,
Unbelievable, folks.
being on a trellis like that, it really has just begun the process for you,
Okay.
where you will extend those limbs on up onto the house as it continues to grow. If you really want to keep that look, and if you're buying one of those, I suspect you do want to.
But you want to move that one back a little bit from the house. You want to pull it out towards the yard. I would be guessing. Maybe
If you've got a big wall,
Okay.
I would go directly against it. That would be my approach.
some of these zero lot lines and some of these narrow lot lines.
Well,
that'd be-
again, it's one of those things that you need to be apprised of what its growth habit's going to be,
Right.
and have the right spot. There, we don't buy a whole bunch of those because
Right.
we realize that the opportunities across the board are limited. It's a very specific use type
Cool.
of maple.
Absolutely, it's worth the drive just to come see it. I'm telling you.
Come on out.
It is. It really is. It's cool.
Yeah. Right. We got a few more questions to get in. Is there such thing as a dwarf dogwood that can take full summer sun?
So most dogwoods, let's just be clear, are somewhat dwarf trees anyway. I mean, like even at full maturity, we're talking maybe 20 foot, 25 at best probably. So, I mean, they're kind of dwarf in general, and they're very, very slow to grow. Now, the Kusa type dogwoods, this is our like more, say, Chinese dogwood, people call them, and they're a little bit different than our natives around here, but they live in the full sun just fine. Much different growth habit. They're very much shrubby in habit. They don't get crazy big. They're more like 12, 15 eventually, and that's a big one. And they bloom after the leaves emerge, so you'll see white amongst the green. The Kusa type dogwoods are probably best for that full sun. You know, though, as dogwoods get big, they actually do prefer full sun, and they're the showiest whenever they're in full sun as they age.
And if you've ever driven by a growing operation, a growing nursery, you will notice that they're growing in the middle of a field.
Yes.
They are not growing under shade. They're out in the full sun, so they can handle the sun even at a young age. They might prefer to have some shade, but they certainly will adapt to it, and they are commonly in nature found along the woodland the margins of the woodland area, and I think that's mostly due to their size that they get to. Those in redbuds both, they don't get so big, so they get crowded out to the edges. That's where they can grow.
That's a great point. Like, they can be shade tolerant. Dogwoods can certainly grow in the woods. Redbuds exactly the same. But do they want to be there for the biggest show? No. Like, full sun gives you the best show.
And you're not going to get a lot of flowers.
Exactly. They're sparse, and they get tall and leggy and rangy, and like that's what they do in the shade because they're reaching. In the full sun, they get this perfect crown of beautiful white blooms, and they got to have sun for that. So plant a dogwood in the sun. It's fine.
And they grow really slow.
Yeah, they're very slow.
Okay.
Very.
So slow. Okay, recommendations for plants that will climb in a shady area, looking for more privacy.
Okay, we kind of already talked about that. The vines for the shade.
We did a little bit.
And a lot of vines can handle shade, like most
crossvine.
of them. Crossvine can handle shade. Clematis can handle shade. There's a number of plants that can climb.
And for privacy, crossvine.
There you go.
It's going to hold those leaves
Caroline's
for the most
crossvine.
part. Caroline's crossvine, that's right. Y'all know how I feel about it. I love it so much. All right, how do I mulch beds that have seeds? I do not want to smother them. What would you do?
Probably wait till they germinate and then mulch. I would assume. I mean,
Let
honestly,
them get up a little bit.
Yeah, let them get up and then just carefully mulch around them would be probably my suggestion. I mean, because you don't want to bury them with like 3 inches of mulch, and then you probably won't see great germination if you do that. So wait till they're up and then mulch it. Just be patient.
Mulch away. Okay. Best potted plants for minimal sun.
I know what you would say.
What would I say?
Plum you.
Oh, yeah, that is a great one. I didn't know what I was going to say.
Also, our fern selection is on point, y'all.
Yeah.
Fern selection
But
on
plum
point.
yew looks like a fern, y'all. In the winter, you can have a fern out all year. Not really a fern, but gives that look.
Yep.
But yeah, ferns are super easy too. And our Bostons are, like Miriam said, the macho ferns, y'all. They're awesome.
They are. They're big and beautiful.
That music means what?
It means it's time to end this edition of Gardening Inside Out.
I want to keep going.
Y'all, it's okay. You can
What'll
keep
we-
going.
2 hours.
We'll just come back next week.
Okay, we can do that. Hey, happy Easter, everybody, and be safe.
we're open
out
all
there.
weekend, by the way, so
good
come
day.
see us.
Come out and get some Boston ferns. Take a look at that blood good on the trellis. It's so cool. But hey, for everybody here at Gardening Inside Out, we appreciate you joining us Saturday mornings. Hey, you can watch the podcast anywhere you subscribe,
Or
Or just listen.
Yeah,
listen
you
to
listen to them,
It's a
watch
little
them.
static if you watch it.
It's okay, you can do it, but you can pull us down every day because we're on YouTube and you can see us anywhere. Wherever you get your podcast, that's the place to see it. Hey, once again, we thank you for being here. We'll see you next Saturday morning for Gardening Inside Out.
Shout out, Trav, man. It's your birthday. Love you, brother.
Hey.
It's my little brother. Happy birthday.
Thank you for tuning into the Gardening Inside Out podcast. If you're looking for more information or more from your hosts, don't forget that we have a live Saturday morning broadcast, 8 a.m. Central Time on YouTube and Facebook. You can also follow us on our Instagram channel. That's @Gardening Inside Out for more posts, reels, and in-depth dives to topics and things we've discussed on the show. If our content resonates with you, consider giving us a follow, like, and subscription on all of our social media pages. See you next time.